Cue that beat.
This is what happens. You guys just hear something Eagles, and then it's like a dog. He sees a squirrel.
I would say 75% of all NFL quarterbacks can be dialed down to different flavors of Kirk Cousins. They're all just Kirk Cousins. All of them.
So there's conditions. No, I absolutely understand do not draft list. If someone's on my do not draft list, I'm not drafting him.
What's up, guys? Welcome into the Mind the Gap podcast here on Spotify and on YouTube. If you're not listening on Spotify, watch on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, listen on Spotify. I don't know. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Today is Mock Draft 2.0, which you know because you read the title or saw it. I think we just get right into it. There's not much to be said here. We're just going to go one after the other, 32 picks. Me and Ryan both have 11. Tyler has 10. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But with trades. And the way trades are going to work, thank you for bringing that up, is we can only make a trade if it is 1 for 1. A first rounder in 2025 for a first rounder in 2025. That's not how the real world works, but for our mock, for our purposes, if they have a pick, they can trade and they can only trade with other teams who have a pick. And you can't trade with your own teams. So Ryan, you cannot trade
with trades.
number 1 away to number 4. Because you have both. You have power. You can't do that. It has to be you can't just decide that. So you can only trade with the teams that Aaron, me, and Tyler control.
All right.
So checks and balances. Can't just trade willy-nilly. That said, there are tons of teams to trade with. You do have 1, 4, and 7, which kind of messes up your trade options, which I think is kind of funny.
Not too much.
Not too much. 6 is available. All right, we ready to get going? Tyler, Ryan starts, and then me, and then Tyler, and we're gonna flip, and then we're just gonna do that for the rest of it. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a mock draft. This is who we would take in their shoes. This is we're the GM for the day. We get to decide. Later down the road, when more comes out, free agency is more wrapped. When we see more of team needs, we will do what we think the teams will do. But today, and I think for the next one, this is what we would do in their shoes. Ryan, the Tennessee Titans are on the board.
I feel like we should put. I'm gonna call an audible and put a 3-minute clock on each pick as well.
Oh, great! I love it.
Keep it realistic.
That being said, I'm going to listen to trade offers if anyone is so inclined to do so. If we are going by the standard of what they should do.
Well, as the New York Giants, I'm open to hearing what you would like.
I would like to trade down to pick 3, and I would give you pick 1 this year among future picks.
I was like, what would you want from me? I know we're not doing exact trades, but just throw something out there as a fair compensation.
Brian Burns. You need an edge.
I'm not giving you Brian Burns.
I'm not going to ask for players. If I'm the Titans and I have a new general manager, that general manager is going to want new guys that he scouted out himself. So, Tyler, if you're open to a trade, I'll give you this pick 1 because I have a specific player in sight, and I think he may or may not be available at pick 3.
Let's do it. Flip it around, dude.
All right.
Lipsky. So
that was fast. So we have a trade. The Tennessee Titans are trading with the New York Giants, yeah?
Yes. So Giants are now in the first pick, and this did get confusing to start, but that means, guys, that I now am picking at number 1. Just stay with it. It's okay. So at number 1, the reason I traded up here was for a quarterback. We all knew that, right? And it's going to be the quarterback, the number 1 quarterback on all 3 of our boards, not him. It is Cameron Ward, quarterback out of the University of Miami, Florida.
Perfect.
Via Washington State, via Incarnate Word, via playing wing T in high school. So he's come a long way.
That he has. I love Cam. I think he's my favorite quarterback prospect in this class. I'm just excited to watch him play. He could flame out like he is like someone just snuffed out a candle, but I don't think he'll be fun. He'll be entertaining. The same way Will Levis was fun and entertaining. of a prospect. No matter what happens, something's going to explode, and I'm looking forward to it.
What do you think his bust factor is? Because we haven't necessarily talked about
Are you saying
that
what
aspect.
could make him
We've
fail as a
talked.
prospect? Like, why
No,
would he fail, or what does he look like if he fails?
no, neither of those. We've talked about his ceiling, we possibly all pro,
Right.
but I'm really curious how low of a prospect.
Got it. What he looks like if he fails. What I asked you.
Yeah,
Well, I think
Will Levis.
even more fun, I think, is the percentages of how, like percentage that he becomes all pro versus
yeah.
top 12 starting quarterback.
I think
versus
that's easier to
serviceable
measure.
started versus flames out of the league.
Okay, so let's say he makes it into the top 12. He has a Jalen Hurts, where Jalen Hurts is now, at like between 7 and 12. Cam Ward gets there in 5 years. The percentage of that, I'd say there is a 30% chance.
I was going to say
the-
40, so I'm
Yeah.
not too far off.
Okay, so I also said 30 to be conservative, so I'm going to move it to like 35, 40.
Okay.
So if you sim his career 10 times, I think 4 out of the 10, he becomes a top 12 guy. I'd say the same amount he flames out of the league, but that's just because of the there's a word for it,
Volatility.
perfect, thank you. The volatility of the quarterback position and the NFL. So
It's just what the Giants got to do at this position, though.
Oh, I agree. I think it's the right pick for the Giants. I think the trade up makes sense. I'm curious to see what they would have to give up. Titans didn't move back far, but they did have to move back. So
Yeah, and hopefully I'm still getting my guy at 3. If you don't take him, Aaron.
So that's hey Tyler, I'm calling you.
Who me now? The Raiders?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Am I making 2 trades?
So yeah, I'm calling the Raiders, and I'm saying, hey, we're not ready for this pick. we know that you want a quarterback. We know you want Shadur Sanders. He's
At
yours.
2? They're gonna have to give up capital.
Yeah, that's why I'm offering.
Which is why I think I'm probably going to say no. Because I'm looking at the board right now, and if you want to trade out, that means that you don't want to take a quarterback. And then you get down the board, the Titans already traded out the first pick. That means I don't think they want a quarterback, or they would have just taken him at 1. Obviously, the Patriots aren't taking quarterback. Jaguars, same thing. So I feel pretty comfortable just being able to get Shador here if I want to.
Okay, so I'm going to make
But
one
mind
more.
you, someone can jump to the Raiders.
And if somebody wants to jump up 8 picks, go for it.
I'm going to make one more call, and that's to you, Ryan. I'm going to call the Jets. I'm going to say, hey, Rodgers is gone. You don't have a future right now. Even if you bring Sam Darnold in, you don't have a future. Do you want your pick of the litter at quarterback of Shadur or Dart?
If I'm the Jets, I'm going to say no as well. And I'll give you a reason for that. I think Aaron Glenn is going to want to build this team his way, and that starts with the defense.
Starts with the trenches.
So I think they get a defensive guy this year, but next year, absolutely look for the Jets to trade up for a quarterback.
Great, so now I have to make an actual decision. That's annoying. The Browns are an interesting issue because you could just draft the Myles Garrett replacement because he asked out, right? That's the easiest thing to do. You draft Abdul Carter and say you're going to replace Myles Garrett, but you also need, and it helps you in the trenches, which is the best way to build a team, proof the Eagles. Or you draft a guy like Hunter. You have a need at cornerback. You also could need receiver going down the road. Or do you take a shot on Shadur? I don't like Shadur enough to take him at 2, and I don't think the Browns are ready. So I'm just going to play it safe and take Abdul Carter.
Dang it. Well, my plan has failed.
That was bold to think Abdul Carter was a job. But, there's a chance.
I mean, I offered a lot of I tried to trade out of it. Ryan, you are on the clock. The Titans are now pick 3 after your blockbuster trade to start the class.
Yeah, you kind of screwed me over here because my plan was to get Abdul Carter.
My plan was to get
number one
traded away,
plan.
and you screwed me up with that. So blame yourself.
I think if I'm the Titans here, I would also maybe think about trading back again and getting even more picks. But
I am taking calls at. Am I? Who do I? Actually, give me a second. Now I'm thinking. I don't know if there's anybody I want to trade back with. No, I'm okay. Never mind.
Okay.
I was going to say, because the 2 biggest trade candidates here are the Raiders and the Jets, and I controlled neither. So you could call Tyler at 6.
Yeah.
I'm good, man.
plenty of things I could do here, but I'm looking for playmakers. Again, the Titans, the defense was decent. I think, were ranked number 2 in yards allowed. So let's just bolster that even more. Give Will Levis time. I mean, Aaron wants to say Keon Coleman needs time. I'm going to use the same exact reasoning.
Will Levis was drafted in the same year as Kenny Pickett, wasn't he? No, wrong class. Wrong class. Oh my gosh.
So
Wrong class.
again, in an ideal scenario, Carter would be the pick here, but I think they picked Travis Hunter. It's not a bad thing to do.
Is that official, Trav?
Travis Hunter to 3 to the Titans. I think my issue with Travis, out of anything, is just his inability to play both positions at a high level. But again, having a guy that can play both is an asset. So I'm really interested to see how he performs at the combine.
He's registered as just a DB at the combine, by the way.
Yep.
Which I think is wise on his part. I like how he's handling everything.
I agree. We could obviously branch out into different positions once he gets comfortable and adds on some weight. That was also a concern of ours. But dude's a blue chip. You make do, and you get a guy that you know is going to be contributing day one.
Yeah, the more I watch this class, the more I think that there are 3 true blue chip talents, and that is Hunter, Carter, and Genty. And that's it. That's where I'm leaving it. For a second, I had Starks up there, but I think it's just 3. We got to keep it trucking. We have, 30 more picks to get to. 29 more picks to get to. Tyler, I believe Ryan's on pick 4. Ryan, you got back-to-backs.
Hey.
Yep, because he's got the Patriots.
Ooh.
And I got the clock going for you.
Okay. So
let's have that clock for analysis, too. Let's just keep it trucking.
Okay.
3-minute total. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Will Campbell, obviously, is, I think, maybe the favorite here. But my number 1 O-lineman is Donovan Jackson. And it is someone that could be used across he can be used across the entire offensive line. That's the difference here.
Well,
Will Campbell cannot.
Will Campbell's on the defense. Oh wait, no, sorry. Oh my gosh, I am bad.
Dude, Aaron, where are you at?
You're like 0-3 today, buddy.
I'm gonna pause that for you, Ryan, because that was crazy.
Sorry, I'm gonna shut up. I'm just gonna sit here silently and just take my guys.
I will say, people have thought about moving Campbell to guard, depending on the arm length, but that does,
I got confused between the angry white boys. I apologize.
Team needs guard, tackle, running back, wide receiver, maybe more D-line. Dude, they
just need players. They need anybody.
They need bodies.
I'll hold on Donovan Jackson because I know you two are not as high on him as I. But let's see. Mason Graham is my next best.
I think if you're the Pats here, you could trade back if you want because Graham.
Nobody's calling my phone.
I'm good, man.
Exactly.
This is perfect. I'm going to pause again because this isn't for your pick, Ryan. But this is why I wanted to do this, because everyone all the time wants their team to trade back except if the exception is the Abdul Carters and the Travis Hunters. There's usually 3 players a draft that people would stay to take, and then everybody from there wants their team to trade back and then gets mad when they don't, but they don't realize you need a team to trade back with. And so this is what happens, is that would it have been sick for the Browns to trade back and get picks with the Myles Garrett trade to get picks, and you got this OKC level haul of picks to reference an NBA thing? That'd be great. But guess what, guys? That doesn't always happen. And so just my rant, because people always say that, and it makes me mad. I'm going to restart the clock. You have a minute and a half left, Ryan.
I'm looking here. Before you do that, Tyler, I have Carolina, San Francisco, Indianapolis as my 3 teams under control. Not any one of them that has any reason to trade up to here. I mean, I also have Cincinnati at 17. Maybe they trade up and take a shot on a tackle like Campbell. But I don't think
they took Mims last year. And so,
right, exactly.
And these guys, honestly, and I love Mason Graham. He is my 3rd overall player on my last big board. We'll see where he lands in the next one. But you don't trade up for a defensive tackle most of the time, especially when you're going to have to give up a lot to move up to pick 3. That's a valuable pick.
Right. Milton Williams just had a strip sack in the Super Bowl, and he was, a 3rd-round guy? And now he's going to make a ton of money? Defensive line, you just never know when or how they're going to develop. And Graham looks like a sure thing, but that's still a tough player.
I'm going to throw a screw at both of you.
Do it. You have 50 seconds.
know what I'm picking. And my pick is someone not on the D-line, even though I would love to stack Mason Graham with Godot and Christian Barmore and Keon White, but they need a linebacker. And Tyler,
Are
you
you
and
gonna
I
take-
have been talking
are you
about
gonna take
Jalen
Walker?
Walker. The dude is a stud.
He is a missile.
Quite
He is
literally
a missile.
put him anywhere, and I think Vrabel is going to fall in absolute love with him. Jalen Walker to the Pats.
Dude, and here's the deal. Pats fans would riot in the streets if that was a pick, but he is such a good player.
I think it's a good player. I worry about I feel like people are gonna. The continual analysis of that pick would be, you could have traded back. You could have waited. What are you doing?
You have such a deep tackle class that you
can
can wait.
hear Bill Simmons on his pod.
Oh, dude, Bill, if they don't take a tackle or receiver,
Bill would be
Bill is going to lose his
fuming.
mind.
Yeah. Oh my
They
God.
have such a deep class, you can wait.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, that's what
All right.
I don't even think it's a bad pick. I'm just saying the fans that are at the draft,
Oh,
that
no.
are Pats fans would lose it.
This is
one of my
already
guys.
so different from our first mock as well.
It's crazy different, but trades will do that to you. So I'm up with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You are
I'm just
on the
gonna-
clock.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take Mason Graham.
Yeah, that's fair.
Boom. He's my best defender left on the board.
I say defense bad, help defense.
Yeah, moving on.
Quick analysis.
When the pick needs to be 10 seconds, it can be 10 seconds.
And this is where the Las Vegas Raiders are
See,
gonna
this
take
is not
Shador
going to be 10
Sanders.
seconds. Yeah.
Because they need a quarterback, guys. They cannot run out with Hayden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, name other guy here that they might sign in free agency. And while I am not the highest on Shador Sanders, QB value we know inflates it. And again, they just need somebody to not be a top 3 worst starter in the NFL. Legitimately, if Shador Sanders is the 20th best quarterback in the NFL, that is a massive improvement from what the Raiders have had. So taking him here, and hopefully now you can focus on putting pieces around him. They already have Brock Bowers and some good pieces around him, JPJ in the last draft on the interior.
Hey, we're not slighting Michael Mayer. We love Michael Mayer.
I don't know if I could be like, who's a really good weapon for Shador Sanders as a rookie? Michael Mayer.
I do think he's a very versatile tight end. I don't know if he does anything really well, but he does everything pretty well.
Sure. So you got some weapons, and they are not a ready-made roster right now by any means, but I think this is what the Raiders would do in this scenario, so go for it.
Now, the question is, before we move on from the Raiders, if you're Tom Brady, who is at this point running this team, do you bring in Rodgers and Adams and tell Shador, hey, you're sitting for a season while we build this team around Rodgers, and then we're just going to slide you right in there, and you're going to get to play with Devontae Adams in practice and the next season? Do you consider it? Do you have a meeting? Rodgers calls up Tom and is like, hey, I'm thinking about Vegas. How long is this meeting? Is it 30 seconds saying no? 30 seconds saying yes? What do you think?
Dude, it's hard. I have no idea.
Because
that's not the answer you want to hear either.
No, it's expert analysis.
Rodgers is not a bridge quarterback, and what I mean by that is he's not the guy who's super psyched to come in.
He's not Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, and he's not the guy who's super psyched to come in and just be a guy who's there for a year and he knows he's getting replaced.
What's that Progressive commercial? The backup quarterback coming in for Case Keenum, Colt McCoy coming in for deal with the Waspness, Jacoby Brissett with taxes. Rodgers would never do that commercial, which I think the fact that Jacoby did says a lot about a guy, right? It says a lot about a guy when you can just say, yeah, I'm a backup quarterback and do it for the money. Rodgers will never do that. So I'm curious to see what Rodgers would do if they draft Shador. 7. Can I interest you in Jackson Dart? At least think about it.
Whew.
Not yet.
Okay.
Even though Jackson Dart is my QB2.
Okay.
I think the Jets are going to stand pat and draft Malachi Starks.
Ooh.
So Malachi
another
Starks
defensive playmaker
is number 4 on my big board. And I mean, it's just looking at this depth chart. Javon Kinlaw is not bad. Again, first rounder with the 49ers came over. Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald are still there. They got Quinnen Williams, Solomon Thomas, who really is a phenomenal 3-tech. Hassan Reddick.
Sauce.
It's not bad. I think the pieces are there. They just need to build upon their young core now. So why not get one of the best safeties in the class?
Yeah.
in
The
Malachi
best
Starks.
safety in the class. I love Starks. He's fourth for me as well.
Real quick on the Starks point. So where do you think he ends up positionally? I have an idea, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts.
I think he could play strong, more so than free safety, but I could also very well see him in a nickel.
So I would start him at strong because I think he has the physicality for it. I'm wondering about size. That's my question. Can he be that like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson type of strong safety? And maybe if then move him to free. I don't know. I wouldn't put him in the nickel, I don't think. I'd have him rotating between strong and free. And I would start strong and be willing to move him to free.
Right now I'm with Ryan. I think big nickel might be where he ends up. So he's 6'1", 205, which who also was 6'1", 205-ish. That'd be Cooper DeJean, your guys' boy.
Cooper DeJean is not a safety.
And honestly,
just
in terms
gonna
of
do it.
coverage skills, Starks is more fluid in man than DeJean is. DeJean is really good in zone, really, really aggressive guy, and I like him a lot. But just in terms of fluidity and coverage, Starks has him right now. He is a very good tackler in the run game, so I think that gives you a really, really good versatile piece to have at the big nickel spot. I think Brian Branch is the other one, and Branch is even smaller. Branch was 192 at the combine. Starks right now is 205, and we'll see his official weight again at the combine. But I think he's got the size and coverage chops to do it. He could play free, but I think he might be most valuable at nickel.
Fair. Pick 8, the Carolina Panthers, is my selection. So this one I think is one of the more interesting picks because I feel like they have heavy needs at offensive tackle, but it's also, do you want to take an offensive tackle with how many you've drafted in the last few years, or do you want to take a receiver right now, like a Tet McMillan, like a Luther Burden, like a Jalen Royal? S or no?
Royals.
Yeah. Do you want to take a receiver here, or it feels too high for me to take a receiver? Is it worth trading back, though? Is there anybody else who wants to take a pick? So I'm going to call up who has 12. Tyler, you have 12. And I'm going to say, hey, can you hand Mr. Jones the phone? And I'm going to say, Mr. Jones, you want to bring back the Emmitt Smith era. I have sitting in front of me Ashton Genty, who is willing and ready to don the silver and blue of the Dallas Cowboys. He's ready to be a Cowboys running back, be your next all-time great. Would you be willing to swap 8 and 12?
Why would they do that?
I was going to say, I think I'm going to say no.
It's worth a shot. I'm trying to get Jerry.
The only spot I would consider doing that is maybe with the Saints because the Bears are at 10.
That's fair.
I'm just okay, man. Like,
What would you guys do for the Panthers?
Dude, get you some pretty much any position.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But I don't know what
I go defense. I think their defense needs more help than their offense right now.
Yeah,
I'm leaning. I'm looking at my big board here.
They had the worst rushing success rate, and I'm pretty sure also had the worst drop back success rate. I'm checking. Yeah, so they had the worst rushing and drop back success rate against their defense. So
I'm leaning.
Anything defense is. Yeah, take that quite literally.
Take that into account.
I'm
Will
leaning Johnson. That's where I'm leaning.
Yes, I was just gonna.
So I'm just gonna take him. CB1 off the board. Will Johnson, Michigan.
That's a good pick, Aaron.
Yeah, their dream scenario is if somehow Mason Graham falls to this spot, but I think that's unlikely.
Yeah. So now the Saints are on the clock. Last year they took a tackle. Do they take another one?
They took Shadur Sanders in our last mock.
They did.
Yeah. Just add him to Spencer Rattler, and the single weirdest QB room in all of the
weirdest
NFL.
roster in the NFL.
Yeah, again, this is another team that just needs guys. Generally, they take guys who are pretty productive over traits. Looking at Kool McKinstry, Brissy, Fuaga, just to throw that out there. Receiver, I think, is a need. Really, just offensive weapon, I think you could say is a need. Again, we talk about Olave might not come back.
Do you take Warren here?
I'm seriously thinking about it. Right now, I think I'm with Warren, McMillan, or best defensive lineman available.
Kellen Moore's head coach.
Kellen Moore is the head coach.
Yeah.
He knows how to coach tight ends.
He knows how to coach tight ends, but man, do I want to build through the trenches.
We saw how Brock Bowers panned out. Yes, Warren has only had one really productive season, but I don't want that to shy away from how productive that season was. We saw him used in a multitude of ways.
As a fullback.
Again, tight end is a luxury in this league. And if you have a good tight end for years to come, you are set.
Yeah. I am going to go Warren because I think it comes down to Warren, McMillan, or Nolan, and I just like Warren a tad more than those two guys. But they're
Who
close.
are you considering on the edge or defensively?
That would be Walter Nolan, defensive lineman
at Ole Miss.
From Ole Miss. I think you could go any of the edge guys that we have left here, whether it's Shamar Stewart, Pierce, Williams, Mike Green, any of those guys. I think we're now getting to the range where they're needed and should be taken.
Who's that? Ryan?
Oh, dang it. You know what? I actually never mind. I made my pick. I probably should have taken Shamar Stewart. That's all I'll say.
That was my thought, but I love that you took Warren. I think it's fun. Ryan, you have the Bears. Bears. I feel like you just take Will Campbell, right?
I was going to say, smash your best tackle, bud, because they're taking them.
I agreed. You just take the best tackle available.
It could be a guard, too.
Don't you
dare. Best offensive
Put
lineman
him
available.
right next to Darnell Wright.
Don't you dare say Donovan Jackson.
Put him right next. Dude, it's pick 10. You can give me some leeway.
No, because he's the first offensive lineman off the board. This matters,
As
Ryan.
he should be. He's a blue chip prospect.
Blue chip. There's 3 blue chip prospects in the class. Genty,
there's
Carter,
5.
Hunter.
Carter, Hunter, Genty, Starks, Jackson.
Okay. We talked about this on the last show. Is the overuse of terminology?
No.
Yes. Blue chip matters.
I know. That's why I'm giving it to these 5. Everyone else is in a different
I would say
tier.
he understands what blue chip is. He just doesn't have the same blue chip players as you, which is fine. I disagree.
Donovan Jackson to the Bears.
Come on.
I would very well consider Ashton Genty right here as well.
Is that locked in?
Yeah, Donovan Jackson.
All right.
I would consider Genty. Realistically, Cowboys might move up, but it's the Cowboys. Do they ever do anything right?
Well, listen, they draft pretty well. I know you guys are Eagles fans, so
not recently.
Really?
I think that they have a.
I guess Mozzie Smith wasn't great, but Overshown's solid. I don't know.
Micah Parsons, like Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott.
Smith is a really good offensive lineman.
Who's the tackle they picked this past year?
Guyton?
That didn't play half the year?
Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He's a rookie. He's a rookie tackle.
This is an issue that Ryan just writes guys off after 1 year.
I know, dude. Ryan is a hard grader. If he was a GM, Guyton would be cut.
I know. Okay, Ryan, or no, Tyler. I am off my game tonight, guys. Tyler, Can I call you again? Is that legal?
Sure, dude.
Great. I'm taking Genty if you don't want the pick.
Do you have him on speed dial?
At this point, dude, if you as the San Francisco want to take Ashton Genty, be my guest.
No, I'm calling the Cowboys. I'm calling Jerry Jones saying, hey, if you want Genty, take him.
Not trading up.
But that's what I'm saying is if you're calling me as the 49ers, and if you would like to take Ashton Genty with this pick, be my guest.
All right, it was worth a shot. I'm just gonna take Will Campbell. I feel like you can't lose taking. He's my best offensive lineman on my board. I love what he does. I'm just gonna take him because I feel like he's sliding, and I'm not gonna let him slide past 11.
Yeah, we did not take enough line of scrimmage, guys. I'm realizing.
I will say
it's a little too flashy of a draft.
Maybe 3 teams I would trade up if I were in your position, Aaron, and that is the Bengals, the Broncos, and the Chargers are all looking for running backs right now.
Well, why didn't you call me?
Well, you didn't give me time to think. Do I even have those picks?
I control.
I don't have.
I control 2 of them.
Well, there you go.
Hold up. Do I have? I have 22.
That you could have called me, but Chargers weren't going to draft Genty.
You think they're just going to keep Dobbins?
I think they're just going to keep Dobbins. He's productive enough.
Yeah, and they have more pressing needs than.
Agreed.
All right. So who are you drafting here?
Dude, okay. Cowboys really.
Oh, I
interesting
took Will
team.
Johnson for the Niners.
Will Campbell.
Goodness gracious.
Okay.
Very interesting team. I think they need line of scrimmage help more than anything. And so I know it's fun to throw Genty as the Cowboys pick because it's the glory days, right?
Well,
and all
but
that.
more than that, I'm actually, when we start drafting, I'm going to project that they take Genty because of how much influence Jerry Jones has over this team and its machinations. Right? Jones is nuts, and he wants to revisit those glory days. And so I think that that's where he's going to push his team.
Do we know that? Has he said that?
I think so.
I didn't reset the clock. Dang it. Well,
I mean, there's he just said I'm going to draft Jonathan Brooks when Jonathan Brooks wasn't even on the team yet. Like, this guy's crazy and loves running backs. He drafted Zeke Elliott, and then he brought back Zeke Elliott, and then he brought him back again. Like, Jones loves his running backs that wear the star.
I don't know. Can we say that? Like, when he's taken one running back in the top 4 rounds in the last 4 or 5 drafts?
Because they put him in a coffin on draft night and then tell him not to move.
Okay. Either way, maybe he will. Maybe he will. I think they need line of scrimmage help more than anything, though. Guyton, you'll give him time, but I mean, outside of that, they've lost Tyron Smith. Their defensive line at this point, Mozzie Smith hasn't really been working out either at defensive tackle. Their first round pick from 2 years ago. So I'm gonna go some form of line of scrimmage. Now, this is where I'll ask you guys, because I'm gonna either go offensive tackle here or edge. And so now I'm looking at either Josh Simmons or Armand Membu for tackle, and then edge I'm looking at Shamar Stewart.
My first thought was Shamar.
Okay, because I think they need run help. Because I love Micah, but Micah's 245, right? And Micah plays the run fine, but I think getting a dude in there who's a dude stopping the run is a good call. So I'm going to take Shamar Stewart edge at Texas A&M. I
like that pick, especially since you're keeping Texas in Texas, and I think that's going to get you a lot of cred with your home fans, especially fans who are mad at you over the Sun and over losing and everything. So
and I think it fits their draft profile, too. They like really traitsy guys. Mozzie Smith was that. Guyton was that. Parsons was that coming out. They like guys that have pop from the athletic perspective, which Stewart has a lot of.
Look at C.D. Lamb, Zeke Elliott. It goes back.
All right, boys. Dolphins are on the clock.
This is a fun one, too. There's a lot of fun picks. Like, there's a lot of teams that just need stuff.
Yeah, I would absolutely consider offensive line here, but there's not any I love necessarily enough to take here. Josh Simmons is 23rd on my board, so not as high as you guys.
You got Membu? Membu anywhere close? Armand out of Missouri?
Membu is uno momento. Yikes! How far down do I have him?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off that bad. I figured he'd be somewhere close.
Yeah, I figured as well.
He's at 30.
Okay.
So
is your list that large that it took you that long to scroll to 30?
I had to go back to it. So I'm going to address a different position of need, and that is D-line. So I know we talk about Tua getting concussions, yada, yada, yada. They're still playing at an NFL level. They can make do. It's such a deep class. We can get someone else here. I think Christian Wilkins leaving the Dolphins really hurt them more than they think. And Shamar Stewart would have been great, but I'm going with Kenneth Grant here. I know some people have a little bit of a toss-up between Kenneth Grant and Walter Nolan. I see both sides. It could come down to fit. It can really come down to a lot of things. But I have Kenneth Grant a little bit higher than Walter Nolan. So for that reason alone, I'm going to go Kenneth Grant. Dude really should not make it outside the top 15, personally. But I don't think the Colts or the Falcons are. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I think the Colts and the Falcons have much greater needs than D-tackle. So it would be really sad to see Kenneth Grant slip because he was really a difference maker on that line. And just because Mason Graham was wrecking havoc this season as well, Kenneth Grant should not slip because of that. It was just a dynamic duo, and Mason Graham got the better stats. So,
yeah, I think it's a fair pick. I don't know if it's the one I would have made, but I'm not going to sit there and make fun of you for it like I make fun of some of your other takes. Moving on, 14. I'm on the clock with the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are an interesting unit. because I have a tendency to trade back, I'm going to try because I'm crazy. So I'm going to call the Broncos, which is, oh no, that's my team. I can't do that. Oh, dang it. All right, then I'll call the Steelers.
Who is the Steelers?
That would
Tyler?
be Tyler again.
Dude, you keep trying to trade with me.
There's only two of you. How bad do you want Ted McMillan?
I mean,
If you're the Steelers.
I guess he's falling. I mean, it'd be cool. it'd be pretty dope, I think. Yeah, sure, dude. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, so we're going to trade 14 for 21.
Yeah. The Steelers could use a receiver pretty bad. That'd be force this trade. They're not interested in trading. Well,
that's too bad.
That's too dang bad.
That's too dang bad.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Ted McMillan here.
Perfect.
Wide receiver out of Arizona. I do have him as wide receiver 1. I've even come around a little bit to him being better than I initially thought. There's a rep where he runs a curl route against Arizona State, and he throttles down so quick for a guy who's 6'5". It is mind-blowing. And I just need him to do that a little more. But I think he's going to be a really good guy. The body control at his size, the movement skills at his size, how he separates at his size. Is it the level of Matthew Golden, Emeka Egbuka, Royals? No, but that's not the type of receiver he is. And so I think he's got enough separation there, enough juice athletically, and then is good enough contested catch on the other side of his skill set to make it for a very good receiver.
I want to see what he does when he's asked to do more, right? Because of the way that Arizona offense with Noah Fafita operated was a lot of deep crossers for McMillan, and I just wish I saw him on a more Julio Jones Mike Evans-esque route tree to see what he could do, and could he have more contested catches? Could he get up there and high point the ball? I want to see more. I want to watch him at the combine. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what he can do. So I think I like the pick if you're at Pittsburgh and you are getting a running mate next to Pickens. The only question is, do they really mesh? I think, yeah, that'll be fine. You're just getting two really good receivers.
Yeah, and Tet works more intermediate of the field anyway.
Right.
Pickens is that deep threat on the outside, and you have two really good guys on the outside. And honestly, right now, the Steelers, more than trying to find a skill set, just find someone who's good at the receiver position.
Yeah. 15 on the clock is Tyler. You got back-to-back.
I was going to say, I'm going back-to-back here with the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are good at skill. I don't really know why PFF says they need a receiver. I guess they could use a better receiver, too, than Darnell Mooney, but
Mooney played great. Actually, he was fantastic.
Yeah, so that's where I guess you could get a more premium guy there, but man, Drake London is a wide receiver 1 in this league. He played like it this year, so I'm not going to go skill. I'm definitely going defense. They were middle of the pack in drop back success rate, and they were 25th in rushing success rate against their defense. So I think they really do need D-line help. This is where I am going to go edge probably. I'm going to look at edge, and I'm going to look at D-line. And right now I have edges higher than I do D linemen, but this is where I wonder if we can keep Georgia in Georgia here. Even though I have Pierce higher than Williams, I think the fit with Atlanta is probably better with Williams, not just being from Georgia. I am officially taking Michael Williams here, edge from Georgia.
Gorgeous. Love the pick.
But they need help in the run and the pass, right? They don't have difference makers at that position. And I think you take a swing here and say, hey, this is a guy with top 5 traits, and we're just betting on he's turning 20 years old. He had an ankle injury. There are things to excuse away his production, and he shows a lot on tape. So I'm going to go Michael Williams here out of Georgia.
I like it. I also like it because there's that picture going around social media of Davis lined up next to Carter, lined up next to Smith on the Eagles' Super Bowl winning defensive line. Georgia Bulldogs are going to be at an all-time premium in this class for good reason. Like they continually produce top-level NFL talent. And if you're the Falcons, you get to take Michael Williams at 15. That's fantastic. He just fell to you. I love it. So 16, that would be Ryan. The Cardinals.
All right.
They took a Marv last year.
Yeah, I'm looking at edge here. So I would consider wide receiver. Jalen Royals is right there for the taking. But I'm going to restrain myself. And
You're going to give me an aneurysm.
I'm going to help that pass rush. So I have Mike Green at 12, and I have James Pierce Jr. at 15. And I will toss it up to you guys, as in it could quite literally be a coin flip for me in terms of fit.
Are you not
But
considering Nolan here to get somebody interior?
I have Nolan a little further down, but I wouldn't be opposed. This is one of the tough ones for me. This might be the toughest pick I've had thus
Yeah.
far.
And honestly, I didn't see really how they used Darius Robinson this year. I didn't catch much Cardinals. And so that might factor. If they're playing him more on the interior, then Nolan's probably out. Because even though he didn't have a great year, like, you can't get rid of him after the first year when you take him in the first round. So I think edge is probably a little safer. I have Pierce higher than Green.
I do as well.
Okay. I'll take the consensus then and take Pierce here. Again, Pierce is a fantastic prospect. A little bit more speed than power. I think he lacks upper body strength, and we can get into that when we do our edge rankings. But there's still a ton of love from Pierce. So I just had a brain fart. Sorry, cut that. There's still a ton of love from Pierce. So I will send it to the Bengals.
Now, the Bengals just franchise tagged T. Higgins, which means
That changes everything.
it does. Receivers off the menu, right? They don't need one. It does not make sense for them to draft a receiver or an offensive weapon.
Which I saw somebody mock Colston Loveland to them today, and I almost had to scream. It's like, guys, can we not take a weapon for Joe Burrow again, please?
So there is something I want to consider. What's the best way to get pressure off the passing game? Is with a good run game, right? So Genty, I think, is somebody you at least have to have a meeting about if you're the Bengals, and I'm heavily considering him here. The other pick is Mike Green. He is sitting right here at 16. This is a very talented edge class, and I have Green right now as my best edge. It's him, Sawyer, and Scorton. So
Is Hendrickson a free agent?
Yes, he
Trey.
is.
Oh, really? Okay.
I believe I'm going to double check that because I know he asked for a trade to get a new deal. So let me, while you keep going, and I'll.
Yeah, well, Ryan, help me figure this out. What's the case for taking an edge over a running back? Because running back would always be, especially a running back like Genty, who dominates so much attention. Why would that not help Joe Burrow and help their offense?
I think when we rewind to 2024 season, I think we always use the Bengals defense as the scapegoat. And it was. If every single instance we were like, oh, it's the Bengals defense. Oh, the Bengals defense lost in that game. You have to start somewhere, and I think it starts here. I as much as I would love Ashton Genty to the Bengals, and dude, that could be a insane offense for years to come. You also got to start with that defense if you really want to make progress.
Yeah. So I'm just going to take Mike Green out of Marshall, the edge rusher. He's my best edge left on my board. I feel like that's very consensus with what's going on right now.
Which also, Trey Hendrickson has one more year on his deal, according to
So
Over
he
the
wants
Cap.
an
He's got
extension. Okay.
Yeah, he's got the 2025 year on his deal, making a base salary of 15.8, and then we'll go into free agency.
Ryan? No, Tyler. Tyler, you're up with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, man. Took Byron Murphy last year at D tackle. He played really well. Shout out. So I won't be taking that position. Sorry, I'm just going to filter in and take Mike Green here on mine to make sure I'm up to date. Yeah, the Seattle Seahawks, you know what they need more than anything else?
O-line.
Offensive line. Their O-line was one of the worst units last year. And I think they're close in a lot of areas. They're close on defense. They have good weapons with JSN, DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Geno Smith is a underrated quarterback. He is definitely top half of the league. So what I need to do is protect him. And so right now, the top overall lineman I have right now is Josh Simmons, the tackle from Ohio State. But I think they need interior more than they do tackle. I honestly don't mind their tackles a whole lot. So this is where I'll toss it up to you guys. I think Armand Membu is my second tackle. Sorry, that was from Ryan's. Is my second tackle on the board right now. And he can kick down to guard, I think, pretty easily. Or Calvin Banks, I think, can kick down to guard and will be a guard in the league. Or a guy who plays guard right now, Tyler Booker. So out of those three guys.
This is where I would consider Jackson. I think this is more of a realistic spot for him to go. And I feel like if I were writing a mock just by my own thoughts, this is where I'd have him. I do want to ask a question, Tyler. as the Seattle GM, is there a small part of you, if I'm one of your scouts and I come up to you and I'm like, hey, Geno is good right now, but he's getting old. He is not, I mean, the contract's not going to last forever, and Geno's not going to last forever, and he's not, doesn't have that high of a ceiling. Is there a point of you, is there a part of you that considers Dart here as a sit and wait and learn behind someone who we know is a good guy, who know is a good mentor in Geno Smith?
I would mind it if you, as the Seahawks, have a grade on him to where it makes sense at this point, maybe a late first grade or early second grade, and with the QB inflation, you go, hey, this is something that we can take a swing at. I wouldn't mind it. Now, we know my Dart thoughts. I personally don't think he's that. But process wise, I wouldn't mind that type of pick at all.
If I'm you, I lean here as a tackle that can switch down to guard, gives you a little bit of flexibility. I would say Membu.
I was gonna say because I like Membu a lot, man. He's really good. Honestly, he to me is very similar to Donovan Jackson, but at tackle, both of their lateral game is amazing. The way that they move laterally and mirror guys in the pass, and honestly, the run game. Missouri runs a lot of zone. That's where Membu made his bread and butter. So I'm gonna take Armand Membu.
Hold up before you do. I'm the Texans at 25, and I also need a lineman. I don't necessarily have one in mind beyond Josh Simmons, but would you consider trading down if you're the Seahawks and dropping 7 picks?
Dang it! I put Membu. I already drafted Membu on my PFF thing. No, if I hadn't picked him already, I would consider it because honestly, I think there are a lot of guys that could kick down to guard that make sense later in the 20s. So that's your Kelvin Banks. I think even your Gray Zabel at that point, we could have some discussions about him. But yeah, I would have considered trading back to 25.
Would you have though?
I don't know. I like Membu a lot. I think he's in that first tackle.
Can't miss prospect for you.
He's in that first tackle tier, or just missing it second.
Okay. All right, so you're picking Membu.
At 18, yeah. Which puts Ryan on the clock at 19. With the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Dang. All right, Tyler. I'm going to phone a friend.
Hey.
Because I would like some consulting.
Yeah, man.
I know you want to address the defense.
Yes, I was going to say pretty much any defensive position would be nice.
You would also love a replacement for Mike Evans, depending on how much gas he's got left in the tank. But I'm looking at corner, and I'll let you have your pick. I'll let you have your moment to shine here.
Oh, let's go! I got another team basically. This is fun.
Well, I'm giving you 2 options, and it's
give me
Javon Revell or Benjamin Morrison.
Yeah, I love that actually a lot. I would go Benjamin Morrison. Okay. I like Morrison a lot. He dropped on most people's boards because of health stuff, but man, his tape is clean. It is really, really good corner tape.
He's proven. Yeah.
He's really good. And so I like Morrison, just as a player, but I think he fits the way that Todd Bowles wants to play a lot. Todd Bowles wants to send a ton of blitzes. He is leaving his corners on islands, and Morrison's used to that. He is used to being pressed up on a receiver one-on-one. Hey, you got to win your matchup. So I think as a prospect and as a fit, that's great.
Okay. I had Revell at 19 and Morrison at 22. So it's not that much of a drop off. It's just user preference.
Yeah, that feels like you could just flip-flop them back and forth. Anyone within 3 spots of each other.
Yeah.
All right. Taking Morrison?
Benjamin Morrison.
Love it. Now, I'm on the board with...
You got back-to-back there, Aaron.
I do. This is fun. Finally, I get to do something. The Denver Broncos are on the board, and I think they need offensive help for Bo Nix. So my question is this the Genty spot, right?
Ooh.
They've taken a lot of shots at running back recently. And again, what do they say about Joe Burrow? What's the best way to help out your passing game is to have a good running game. RPOs get better, read options get better, everything gets, just a play-action play gets better with a talented running back. Do you consider Genty or my wide receiver 2, Luther Burden?
I would go Genty. That sounds like a lot of fun. Their offensive line is...
They need it.
I also think Sean Payton's foaming at the mouth to get Ashton Genty at this spot.
I said at the beginning of the year that for
I locked it in, by the way,
purposes, that you should not rely on any Denver running back. And I was completely right. But yes, it is something that the Denver offense lacks is a bully. And I would love to see Genty run it up with Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton on game day. Now, there are plenty of other positions you could fix on the Denver offense as well, but Genty is 100% the right pick here.
Because he's just better than those options. Because you have Burden, you have Golden, these receivers, Emeka Egbuka, that would be good as well. Because, like you said, Ryan, there are other positions of need on offense, but Genty is just far and away a better prospect than those guys.
Also, when you're considering Burden, I feel like him and Mims kind of do the same thing. They're similar players in the fact that they are rack guys and not the best at the catch point. And I like Burden a lot. I have him as my 1A to Tet McMillan's 1B. He's my receiver 1 right now. I just don't think he feels redundant in that Denver offense. He'd work really well in that Denver offense, but they already have guys who are doing that, whereas you can just get Genty. And I know that even in this first round, you're not supposed to draft for fit, just draft player. But when it comes to why not take Ashton Genty, I think fit matters.
Yeah, and round of applause for the Broncos for staying at 20 and getting the what are we calling him? The third best player in the class?
That's where I'm at. Yeah.
That's where I have him too. So round of applause, Broncos.
Love it. Colts are on the board. They need secondary desperately. I think the easiest pick here is just Shavon Revel Jr., and that's where I'm leaning. Is there something that I'm missing with this pick?
Bless you.
Excuse me for this sneeze. I like Jahdae Barron a lot, and I need to do a full deep dive on him. But if you have Revel over, I'm not at this point going to get too mad.
Ryan?
I would also pick Revel. I'm looking at my board specifically. I still have Luther Burden there. I still have Revel and some tight ends.
I think they have too much need at secondary to warrant taking a receiver. I think Downs is interesting. Pierce is a question mark.
I think Najee Harris is a free agent as well.
Najee Harris?
I believe.
Sorry, Pittsburgh traded with the Colts. The Colts are in this pick now.
Oh, my fault. Lost track of that. Okay.
Yeah. So, Najee Harris doesn't play for Indy.
Yeah.
So I took a corner.
Genty is not starting over Taylor. Okay. Yeah, that's fine with me. We definitely can bolster that Colt secondary.
Sweet. Chargers on the board at 22. And Ryan, that is your selection. Perfect. And we have just 10 picks left, right?
Yes,
11 technically after this one. After this one, it'll be 10.
Okay. So if I'm the Chargers, I would consider wide receiver and tight end. And I might even look at edge, depending on how Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa's situation pans out.
Those dudes are old.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Colston Loveland. And I think Justin Herbert, yes, we've talked about countless times how he might be limited in that offense. Give him another playmaker. We have seen O-lineman after O-lineman go to the Chargers. He just needs a guy to throw to. And Colston Loveland had a very productive season last year when they won the championship. Not so much this year, but we could also blame that on bad quarterback play at Michigan.
Looking back 2 picks ago, I kind of wish I had called the Chargers at 20 and said, "Do you want Genty?" Because I
absolutely would have considered it. But
2 picks away, it's a lot different conversation than where I was at 7 earlier calling.
Yeah, I don't know what the free agent situation looks like for Gus Edwards, but I do think Dobbins can manage to get it done. I don't know if he is a Super Bowl winning running back, and that's also a question you have to ask yourself. I mean, heck, they could get a starter at running back in the second round this year. The class is insanely deep. You could have another 10 guys go on the first 3 days.
I mean, the Chiefs won a Super Bowl with Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, so
yeah,
you don't need a superstar. You don't need a Saquon Barkley.
And I am very comfortable picking Colston Loveland here, who was 20th on my board. So
I like the pick. I think Burden would be an interesting pick to go alongside Lad McConkey.
I don't know if you want two small guys.
That is my thing. That's why I like the Loveland pick a little more. I feel like it gives you a little more versatility. But I mean, I like it. I'm not gonna rag on it. I am on the clock again. This time with Green Bay. Green Bay needs defense. They need a defensive dudes. Edge rusher. I'm leaning Scorton, but I haven't land. I don't know. Right? This Green Bay team just needs a lot of defense.
They need a wide receiver 1, according to Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I don't trust them to use Luther Burden correctly.
You don't trust Matt LaFleur?
I don't know, because he says he doesn't like the term wide receiver 1.
Dude, he's a dog.
So, okay, what would you do here? Would you go right now I'm leaning Walter Nolan, defensive interior. He's my best defensive player left on my board. It's either him or Luther Burden.
They need pass rush so bad. I would probably go Walter Nolan, which is, I think, stealing what I wanted with my next pick. But that means I'm being truthful.
I would do Walter Nolan or Nick Gordon.
I took Nolan. I think they need
whoever you have higher.
Edge. Yeah. So Nolan at 23 to the Green Bay Packers. 24, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. Tyler, you're up.
Yeah, I'm looking at what they have, what they're losing in free agency right now, and it's a couple corners and secondary pieces in general right now are free agents. So that was what I was deciding between with Walter Nolan, who I was going to pick with this pick, and then whatever corner. I think they can survive from a pass rush perspective, and I love how this guy fits in Brian Flores' defense, and that's going to be Jahdae Barron, corner from Texas.
Love it.
He is a movable piece. You could put him slot, safety, outside corner. He played all of that in college and did it all really, really well. One of, if not the highest graded corner, I believe, in FBS last year. Just a real stud who you could put anywhere in your defensive backfield, and that's what Brian Flores, loves more than anything.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick.
All right, boys. Well,
25. Houston.
I think you can only do one thing here, and it's offensive lineman. Now,
it's got to be.
I have a plethora of guys you could choose from.
There's a lot of guys still on the board.
Of what you want. I would start throwing Greg Sable's name in around this range.
A guy like Banks or Simmons?
I'm not saying
Booker?
specifically over those, depending on how the board falls. But come draft day, I would start mentioning Greg Zabel's name. I specifically think they need either a guard or a center. So if we're mocking Kelvin Banks as a guard, I would be comfortable with that, but I would also completely be open to taking Tyler Booker, who has played guard.
Yeah, Banks is playing guard, dude. Have you looked at that dude? He's 6'4", 320. That is a guard.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning. Let's see. I have Banks 25th in the class, and that's still well above Tyler Booker. So for comfortability's sake, I think I'm going to take Kelvin Banks Jr. Again, you can't go wrong with this pick. It's just, it fills a massive need. And we saw them struggle down the line. CJ Stroud just didn't have enough time to throw. Joe Mixon struggled on the ground really late in the season. I thought Joe Mixon was the best running back in the entire league going into like week 7 or 8. And then Derrick Henry and Saquon just took away with that. So did
Jahmyr Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor, if we're going to throw out names.
Yeah. So I think this just helps them immensely. Now, we might have to pause this because I remember the Texans did take, was it a guard recently? I can't remember his name. Hold up.
Kenyon Green,
yes. Okay. Kenyon Green has not panned out the way that they wanted to, and I'm really interested to see if that changes with new coaching. Again, it's a 50-50 coin toss, boom or bust.
I also think that offensive line is the kind of thing where you don't have to – it's not the kind of thing like, okay, we have 4, let's stop. No, you never stop taking offensive linemen. You always draft, you always develop, because when your left guard 1 goes out, you want someone just as good as him to step into his place. having a setback, having recession at offensive line will set back your season because one bad pass rush that gets to your quarterback can ruin the next 5 years of your franchise.
Absolutely.
I'm on the clock with the LA Rams. Rams have needs, right? They have a lot. With Puka Nacua at wide receiver 1, Cooper Kupp asking out, there is a need for wide receiver 2. Luther Burden is available. He's my wide receiver 1. I could easily take him here. You could get secondary guys to help out that dominant front 4 pass rush. I hear it. I do. I'm not doing that. I'm taking Jackson Dart because I'm not kidding.
That's
I think
crazy.
One, I don't think
I know
he
you're
falls
not
out
kidding, but
yeah, right. I locked it in actually as Ryan was talking. I didn't let y'all convince me out of this. He is the best quarterback left on this board. Shadur is gone, and I think there's a realistic chance we see more quarterbacks than him go. But it's what I want to do, and what I want to do is I want to give Dart time. I want to say, all right, you're going to sit behind the most accurate quarterback in the NFL in Matthew Stafford, who is the best pocket passer that we have, not named Joe Burrow, and you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to watch film. You're going to learn how to read defenses at an NFL level. You're going to learn how to be a pro from Stafford. And then when he retires, we have a succession plan. This is my Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love move, right? I know they did that. What was Love? Where was Love taken in the draft? Was he a second rounder?
no, he was high
First.
20s.
Okay,
I think he was 16, if I'm not mistaken.
he might have been.
I'll
But
do some-
that's what this is. I'm following the Packers' game plan. I am taking Jackson Dart to be my Matt Stafford replacement. Stafford's going to know it. Dart's going to know it. And you're going to say, get along because
Funnily enough, Jordan Love taken at pick 26 as well.
I'll
I just
get
flipped
off
that.
my
Okay.
back. All the way off my back on this one, please. Thank you. This is you cannot convince me this is the wrong pick.
Well,
I think it's
I would consider taking a wide receiver here, and I'm going to have some problems if Jalen Royals does not go before the end of this first round.
Luther Burden's
He's
still on the
not
board.
doing
Josh
it, dude.
Simmons is still available, dude.
shout out Matthew Golden.
Jalen Royals is better than all of those guys.
You're crazy. The Ravens are on the clock. Tyler, you're up.
Yes.
I stand by my Jackson Dart selection and will die on that hill. He makes sense to the Rams.
Listen, it's your pick, man. It is your pick. Go ahead and take Jackson Dart and hopefully prosper.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, the Baltimore Ravens, right now, I'm looking at their free agents. You know, there's a free agent right now. Their top free agent is their left tackle. So,
Simmons.
because of that, I'm taking Josh Simmons. I think this is way, way lower than his actual player rating. Just some different things like the Seahawks have taken him, but they do need a guard more, so Membu goes, right? Different things like that. But man, Josh Simmons, I think, is easily a top 15 pick, probably should be a top 10 pick. So if he falls down here to the Ravens because of medical concerns or just really whatever, I think they'd be ecstatic to take him.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a perfect selection. Ravens are going to be, I think, one of my picks to win the AFC this year. I think they're my pick to win the AFC this really early, before free agency, before the draft. They're my pick to win it. And this could really help them solidify their offensive line and their rushing attack. I love it. I think Simmons he's my tackle too. So the fact that he went here at 27 is outlandish.
Well, guys, I only have 2 more picks, and Jalen Royals is still on the board.
And so he's going to have to go with those 2 picks.
I don't want to say he will, but he needs to.
Yeah.
What do you have? You have KC. You have Detroit and KC.
Oh, we already know who.
Okay, no, but both of those
AC
teams
is
have
taken.
bigger needs.
They do.
But I don't think you could pass on a prospect like Jalen Royals. But you guys also have
Pass on a-
Washington, the Bills, and the Eagles. All could select a wide receiver. So, that being said, I hope you guys pick Jalen Royals.
Royals is
And you'll look so much smarter on draft day when his name is called. That being said,
I am so okay with letting Royals fall to the second round, just like Lad McConkey, and then taking him in Dynasty.
oh my gosh, stop.
I'm
No.
so okay with it.
Guys, he's not Lad McConkey.
You're right. He's better than Lad McConkey. Thank you, Tyler, for bringing
Tyler,
that point up.
Tyler, I'm trying to make him happy. Look at this little face.
Lad McConkey ran a 4.39. 4.39.
Okay, speed's not
Okay,
everything.
take your edge rusher at the
McConkey was
Lions. Come on.
flying.
Take your
I
edge rusher.
think you take Scorton here. I think he pairs perfect with Aiden Hutchinson, The other
Is
edge
there
I
a
would
thought to
consider
trade?
is Princely Umami
Heck
one of
yeah.
Tyler's favorite guys.
Killed that pronunciation.
Tyler and I have the exact same edge rankings for the most part.
From 6 on, we have, I think, the same until you get to 12 or something.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
I think Scorton is the safe pick here. I think it's an amazing pick here. Short of the depth. That was the issue we saw last season with the Lions.
Another body to get injured, man.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with Scorton to the Lions. And heck, that is an amazing pick right there if you're the Lions.
yeah.
I think if you're the Lions, you're happy with it. Is there a consideration for guys like Sawyer or JT from Ohio State? For either of you, are those first round guys for you?
Ryan, you go ahead.
No. I
Great.
have Sawyer at 40, and JT is a little further down at 54.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I think Sawyer was it 8, Ryan, that we had him in the edge rankings, and then JTT was 11, I think.
Something like that.
And so I'm about the same. I think they're very solid second round picks, not
Sweet.
first round guys.
That's where I'm at too. I just wanted to get that like on the record because Ohio State they had a big year.
Yep.
I'm on the board with 29. I'm taking Luther Bird to Washington. They need a receiver to run alongside Terry McLaurin. Jaden Daniels is the truth. He is probably going to be, as soon as the Jackson, Mahomes, and Burrow and Allen fall off a cliff, he's going to be the best quarterback in the league. I don't have any doubt in my mind that he's going to be a top 3 quarterback in the next 3 years minimum. I think get him some help. Get Luther Bird. He's my wide receiver 1, and he's available at 29. I got no issues.
Ring, 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 ring.
Oh, does somebody want to trade up with the Buffalo Bills?
I do, but
You're
it's
the
not
Eagles,
a team
right?
in the first round.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay, we made it to 30. We can at least have this conversation. See what happens.
I am not the Tennessee Titans, but I'm going to pretend I'm the Tennessee Titans at 35, and I would offer you 35 and some little extra draft capital that I received from trading back with the Giants, and I want to move up to 30 and get a wide receiver.
Sure, man. Why not?
Love that.
Break our rule.
Why not?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
But
so
let me
we're
get 32 on the back end so that I can have 11
That's fine.
picks.
I have 31, so if you
Or
want 31 with the
Okay,
Chiefs.
yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. So
Did you guys
Titans
just
move up
trade
to 30.
mock draft picks?
Yes.
Yes.
So
All right.
Titan, it's what, 34? Wait.
I'm pretty sure they were 35, right? I think.
Yeah,
have to be-
Titans are 35, and they would trade some of the capital that they got from the Giants.
Yeah, they would trade like a third or something.
Gotcha.
So I'm the Titans at 30, and I'm taking my boy Jalen Royals.
Yes.
Yes.
You know it would slip in there. I'm completely okay paying Jalen Royals 5 years. I would absolutely love that in a scenario because if I'm the Titans, again, we're giving Will Levis another year or two. If it doesn't pan out, draft a quarterback next year, and you have Jalen Royals. One of the biggest issues with the Titans right now is they still don't have wide receivers. And frankly, I'm not waiting for the Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles, and if we go to the beginning of the second round, it's Cleveland and the Giants again. So I'm not waiting for 6 receivers just to go
I was
boom,
gonna say
boom, boom,
all
boom,
teams
boom.
that could take a receiver for sure.
Yeah. So I'm getting my guy if I'm the Titans right there. And I'm done.
Boom.
As you should.
So the Chiefs need offensive line. I don't think that we can argue that at all. They need weapons. And what do we think about defense? Because a lot of their defense, not a lot, but some of their defense is getting older, Chris Jones, or is up for contract, Justin Reed. Is there any consideration to defense here, or does Mahomes just need the help?
I would argue tackle, D-line, and linebacker, I think are the priorities
three? Okay.
over wide receiver. Because think about it, you'll have Rice back next season.
Right.
So that's 1 and 2 right there.
And
with
definitely
Worthy.
could circle around in the second round, maybe even trade up in the second round to see if I can get
Right. Guys
one
like
of these
Golden and
guys.
Igbuka are going to be available in the second.
Yeah, which that's crazy, man. But as much as I like him, there's just a lot of good trench talent.
Yeah.
As far as the guys that I have left, it's pretty much going to be between Gray Zabel, North Dakota State, Senior Bowl standout, Josh Connerly Jr., not as much a Senior Bowl standout, but tape is pretty solid, and then Tyler Booker, who I just started watching, and I think he's going to push Donovan Jackson for guard 1. I'm going to land Jackson 1, I think.
I think you need a tackle, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if you need a guard necessarily.
The only thing, though, is Trey Smith might get paid, and we might lose Trey Smith. So that's the only thing I'm thinking about.
That's what we're hoping for. You don't want Trey Smith on your team.
Dude, Trey Smith has been playing really good. What do you mean? He's a Pro Bowler this year.
I'm not, because it's the Chiefs. Trey Smith did not earn the Pro Bowl.
All right. Well, tackle
I
it is. We will go. I'm going to go Zabel because I think he's a little more ready-made, and they need guys who can compete right now. As much as like Connerly, he's more of an athlete project at this point than Zabel is. So I'm going to take Gray Zabel, tackle / guard. People have talked about kicking him down as well, maybe even kicking him into center. I know Kansas City wouldn't need that. But
Mock Draft Database has him listed interior.
Right. So he played tackle at North Dakota State. He played at every position in the Senior Bowl from tackle to guard to center. Versatile piece. You could put him anywhere. So that actually probably is better for Kansas City now that I'm talking about it, because if Trey Smith leaves, you can kick him down to guard. If he doesn't, slide him at tackle.
I'm up with the Eagles. So the question really here is, why would I not take Tyler Booker? Mekhi Becton is probably going to get paid. I saw a rumor that he is going to the Vikings or the Bengals and to get paid after his stint in Philadelphia. I don't think they're going to pay him because he's going to command $63 million, and they have other pieces that need paid, especially like Devonta Smith is going to need. Or no, he just got his extension, but like Jalen Hurts' contract's going to kick in soon. They're probably going to try and bring back Bond, and we talked about this on a previous pod. Bond, Williams, Sweat are all free agents, as is Kenny Gainwell, as is Isaiah Rodgers. So is like Becton. So Steen is in the wings, also Alabama. So you could take Booker and just say, hey, learn with Steen, compete with him, and see which one wins. I don't know if that's the smartest thing to do, or do you draft a tackle do you draft like Connerly Jr. to back up Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata? I don't know. I feel like Booker's the best player available right here. Or you take a guy like Igbuka to be your wide receiver 3. I feel like there's a lot available, and that's not even the two biggest needs for the Eagles, which is taking a guy like Princely and getting an edge rusher.
I was just about to bring that up because I don't know. I think edge might be, but Lane's probably retiring after next year.
Right. But Brandon Graham just retired.
Right.
And Sweat's a free agent.
This is one that's going to be made so much. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at either. This is one that's going to be made so much clearer by free agency.
Agreed. I agree. I think the biggest thing here is I'm going to bet on Howie landing Sweat in free agency and losing Becton. Steen stepping up to replace him, and they are going to take I'm going to take a tackle. Now the question comes down to which tackle do I take? I'm leaning Connerly.
So we're not trading for Myles Garrett.
What, with 131 or with 132? I think you could.
Obviously, we can't put that into the database, but we could also put the Browns in this pick and explain it.
I don't think the Eagles are going to get Myles Garrett.
I was going to say, what's the actual chatter for that? Because I know when it first dropped, the Eagles were thrown out. Is that?
I think that's more of just people are scared of Howie in the trade room.
Okay. I think the Browns are going to be stubborn, and it's not going to be on before draft day.
I agree.
Which is going to hurt them in the butt.
I think that the Browns are going to bite themselves in the butt yet again. But that also dictates what is the Carter trade, or what's the Carter pick. What do they do it to? If the Browns are smart, they send Garrett to a team that needs edge, like the Lions, like the Commanders, who are willing to pay a premium, and they do a bidding war. They do the anti-Luka Doncic, and they see how much they can drive up the price. Can you get 2-3 first-round picks for him? I think the Eagles will be one of the first teams to bow out and say, yeah, we're good. Because they're going to ask for Cooper DeJean or Quinion Mitchell or Nolan Smith. And I think the Eagles are going to say, nah, that's not happening. We'll give you 2 firsts and Bryce Huff, but we're not going to give you one of the right young pieces.
I agree. I think it's just going to get to the point where not even that you couldn't use Myles Garrett if you're the Eagles, but just with the edge talent you already have, what you would be giving up doesn't make sense.
Right. You're gambling your future to get Myles Garrett, which Garrett is, I mean, he's the best defensive edge in the league.
Yep.
But I don't know if it's worth it. Especially for drafting one here. So I don't know. What would y'all do with. I feel like there's so many unknowns because we haven't seen free agency yet. Right now I'm leaning Connerly because that's where I feel like what's going to happen on draft day.
That's where I was leaning too. I mean, I have Tyleek Williams a little higher than I do Connerly just as raw rankings at defensive line. But honestly, you guys don't like those big space eaters. You guys are more shoot the gaps.
Jordan Davis was the big space eater, and he doesn't get much play time.
Yeah, and so that's where it's probably not him at D line.
And I'm assuming they bring back Williams anyways, and I think interior is kind of going to be handled in free agency.
Right. And then okay, so edge.
I'm gonna throw something out there, and you might not like it, but Kenny G's also a free agent. So
I'm not taking Eagles. Don't take first round running backs.
I know, but
Shipley's waiting in the wings. Shipley's waiting in the wings, and he's got juice. If the Eagles are going to take a running back, it's not going to be in the first 2 rounds.
I'm not saying they do, but I'm just throwing that out there. Amari and Hampton's still on the board.
Yeah,
you could also still, like you mentioned, go wide receiver. Emeka Ibuka's right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Is by far the highest rated guy, but man, I mean, yeah,
it's tough because they have so many good free agents.
Yeah,
right.
At other positions, and so is it? Are you stacking in the wrong place?
I think they signed Bond.
I agree.
I think so too.
Let Becton walk because Becton probably is going to command some money.
Yeah.
I also think Josh Sweat's going to command more money than Becton. Becton's only had one good year, and that was a proven deal with the Eagles. So,
and he already was making 10 with the Eagles this past year.
Sweat or
Sweat.
Becton?
Sweat.
So that's the thing. I also feel like the Eagles just got burnt by spending a lot on an edge rusher. They brought in Huff, and it just didn't work. And so now do you want to bring in another edge that might not work, or do you just pay the guy that you know works for you?
Yeah.
And
I think you keep that defense together.
I think you pay Sweat.
Let Vic Fangio coach him up. I would love Tyler Booker. The Alabama runs through that D-line or that offensive line. You got Landon Dickerson.
Three interior Alabama offensive linemen.
I think solely for that purpose, Booker might be the pick over like.
My issue is he can't play tackle, and
he doesn't need to.
Yeah, he does.
Tyler Steen can.
Can he?
Steen played tackle in college.
Yeah, but do you want to have him? I don't know. I'm really struggling with this pick.
We can pick a tackle next year, or
I was going to say
round.
tackle might be a next year problem. I think that's a good point, Ryan.
Okay, so
since Lane is coming back,
has no plans to retire as of right now.
Do you just take BPA?
I would say either Booker or your top edge. That would be my two.
Like Booker.
I think I'm gonna take Uman Mielen because of the Sweat issue, and also you can never have enough.
And honestly, that's such a Howie pick. Howie would do that in a heartbeat.
Agreed. So I think my final pick there is Princely Uman Mielen to the Philadelphia Eagles. That is our full mock. If you want to look on your screen right now, if you can't see it on Spotify, check us out on YouTube. Just Mind the Gap Media on YouTube. We will have the mock right here for the next few seconds. You can check out the whole thing because recapping is just bad radio. And we're not going to just sit here and name players. So check it out. Let us know what you think. Find us on socials. Say who won the draft, which one of the three of us had the best selection. Before we go, guys, I want to look at this mock. Just pick one selection that either you did or one of us did that you just absolutely love or hate. It has to just give me one end of the spectrum, either an absolute love or an absolute hate.
Yeah, dude, 95% of this mock is how it should go down on draft day. I think my favorite here is the Broncos getting Genty at 20. We talked about that during the recording. I think maybe the only few questionable ones I see, Jalen Walker, maybe to the Pats at 4. Another one you guys gave me some slander was Donovan Jackson to the Bears at 10.
But even that, your ideas and your heart's in the right place, right?
Yeah. And then maybe the last one is Barron to the Vikings at 24.
Yeah. I mean, so you're not going to have any beef with my Jackson Dart. I want to get feedback on the Jackson Dart selection.
I'm not mad at it. I see the vision because Matthew Stafford could be traded this offseason, and
Right.
I expect him to. I don't know why the Rams are trying to go into a rebuild, but I mean, again, they almost beat the Eagles.
I think their defensive line forced them into a rebuild. I think the quick ascension of Puka Nacua, Jared Verse, and Braden Fisk forced them into, hey, we really got to take this core seriously and realize that these three of Puka, Fisk, and Verse are our new future. And we should build around them and start getting younger so that these guys are the vets when we're competing next. And I think that they are quickly pivoting to an F them picks strat where they're now not, or F them vets, I guess is more accurate because F them picks was their Super Bowl mantra.
But yeah, 95% of this mock is how it should go down on draft day, and I'm very proud of this.
I think it's really good.
Like it a lot. A couple of my favorite picks. Mason Graham to the Jaguars. I think he solves so many issues for them as a defense and as a really bad defense. Personally, like the Benjamin Morrison to the Bucks. I think that, like I said, is a very good scheme fit with a really good player fit. Man, I think that if Josh Simmons falls to the Ravens, they'll be ecstatic.
I agree.
Man,
I think
I like a lot of this, man. Again, because even I'm looking at Mike Green to the Bengals. They need an explosive edge rusher because even Hendrickson, that's not his game. So I love them getting somebody that can fly off the edge. Stewart to the Cowboys. Man, there's just so many good picks here and teams that I think would be psyched coming out of the draft.
there's some that I'm looking at. I'm just like, maybe if you go shoot your shot. Starks to the Jets. I feel like it works, but did they really need a safety? I'm looking at I'm just questioning my Jackson Dart selection. I'll die on the hill, but also like internally, it's like you never have a fight with your spouse out in public, but internally you'll have a conversation. I'm quietly questioning the Revel pick to Indianapolis. Siobhan Revel 21 to Indianapolis through Pittsburgh. We made that trade. I love that for the Steelers, by the way. Tet at 14 is fantastic.
Yep.
But like even the Eagles taking Uman Mieland, they have, for a team that has one of the best two rosters of the last 25 years, they have a lot of needs, which I think is really interesting. And we talked about them. We had them up there with Legion of Boom, and now we're like, who do they draft? Because there's so many options.
Well, because look at the Legion of Boom. They had 2-3 really good years, and then they didn't become
dissolved.
bad by any means, but they tiered down. And that's what can happen when you have free agents. Guys want to get paid. Guys get paid because they play very well, which makes your roster good, right? And so you always, always, always have to be aggressive in getting good players on your team for cost-controlled contracts.
Success does not last through passivity. You have to be actively pursuing greatness. So, Ryan, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
No, I'm just happy you guys let me get Jalen Royals in the back end of this draft.
Get him in there, man.
We were never going to get away from that. I've given
works
in at this point.
That's not wild. That's a little high for me, but that's not wildly high. He's going to be a top end of the second round guy, I think.
Yeah, Buffalo moves down 5 spots.
Yeah.
I also don't think Buffalo could have just taken the kid. Like, I wouldn't, if they're like, yeah, Buffalo just needs a receiver, and they just take Jalen Royals, I wouldn't hate that either. I don't think they have to trade out of that for him to still get selected there.
I think the Titans are going to be aggressive, but it's really going to be fun to see how it shapes down on draft day. And I would love a late trade because, I mean, we didn't get a trade since, pick 21?
Yeah, 21 for 14, and that was our last trade until 30 for, what was that, 35?
Ooh, you know what I'm looking at now that I like? The back-to-back Texas, the Barron, and then the Banks pick. I think Banks fulfills a spot of need for the Texans.
Both Texas teams taking Texas players between TU and A&M. I'm curious to see. I think in reality, Ward's going to go to Tennessee. And if I'm Tennessee, I get Ward down to Nashville as fast as possible. And I say, these are the wide receivers we like. What do you think of them? Because that's what they did. That's what Stroud did with Dell, right? And it worked out. Like, Dell is not the cream of the crop, but now Stroud, you're building instant rapport with your superstar, now franchise quarterback. So if you are the Giants, if you are the Titans, and you take Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders, I think the first thing you should do is fly them down and say, these are my wide receiver candidates. Which one do you prefer? and then you hand him a rose and say you're staying on The Bachelor.
Yeah. Last pick I want to highlight that I think meshes very, very well. Whoever took Colston Loveland to the
was Ryan.
Chargers, Michigan man, obviously Harbaugh is the coach there.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Beautifully done, Ryan.
Yeah, and they just need explosive weapons. McConkey's awesome, and there's not much behind that. And so, do they need interior offensive line as well? Yes, but they need a weapon really bad too. So I like the mesh there.
I think that's also a decent Jackson spot.
I think so too. Dude, you said it, I think, when we picked for the Seahawks, but if he's there for the Seahawks, I think that's a very good team for him to go to.
I think he falls between 18 and 22, and he does not go any later, to Ryan's credit. All right, thank you all for listening to Mock Draft 2.0. Again, if you want to check it out, we will have it up on Instagram. We'll have it up on Twitter. You can just look us up, Tyler Hill, Aaron Palsgrove, Ryan Wright. On Instagram, we're just Mind the Gap Football. Follow us, check us out, like, subscribe, I don't know, all the buzzwords. Thank you all for watching. Mind the Gap on your way out.